Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jim Welsh. I am with Payroll for Construction, and want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar on your one-stop shop for construction office solutions. We'll cover today our foundation software. Tom Greco will cover that. It's a full job cost accounting ERP system for contractors. We may have some foundation clients out there, so maybe you're looking at some of the other products. We have a pretty wide mix of people that own some products, people that don't own any products. So we'll make sure we cover these in full detail for you today. And then we also have J.R. McGraw with McCormick Systems. He's going to talk about their estimating platform. So kind of the flow here today will be, unfortunately, this is just going to be a listen-only broadcast. You'll be able to type in questions, and we'll probably answer those towards the end here, or I might shout them out if JR or Tom in the middle of something that would make sense to get them to answer and show that at that time. So feel free to type that stuff in. So again, before I turn it over to JR here, just quick intro. This is JR with McCormick, Jim Welsh, me with Payroll for Construction, and Tom Greco with Foundation. Kind of the flow today will be starting with estimating. That's where a lot of this starts, then turning into a job inside of Foundation software. Or Tom will go through some things, and then I'll cover the payroll piece of it, which really ties into both products, Foundation and Payroll for Construction, and kind of, get you that actual versus estimated labor variance reporting. So without further ado, I am going to turn this over here to you, JR, and then you can go ahead and start with McCormick.
Great, thank you very much. So today I'm just going to show you a real brief overview of how McCormick estimating works. And obviously, if this is something you guys would like to take a closer look at in the future, please reach out to us directly. We'd love to spend some more time with you. But just want to take you through what the estimating looks like. We service electrical, plumbing, and mechanical contractors, and we handle every type of the trade. So commercial, industrial, residential, we do it all. Right now, you're looking at the main job screen. When you first log into McCormick, you're going to be able to see all of your bids, statuses of your bids, any information that you want to customize here on the job screen. You'll be able to add to this folders for job tracking purposes. So when you first log in, you'll open up a job you started, or you're going to click on this new job button to start a new job. I want to walk you through what that whole flow looks like. Step one is putting in job details. Integration with Foundation, these job details are going to flow into the accounting side of things. So everything you put in here in McCormick is going to auto save. The big thing you do in step one is bring in any digital files that you have to bid the project with. So this is where we're going to get them off of your computer, maybe where you've got them downloaded somewhere on your network. We're going to be able to add all of our drawings, blueprints right here in step number one. So that's really the big thing that happens in step one, job details, bringing in your files, and then it's a 5-step process. You're going to work your way through these 5 buttons up here in the top ribbon. Has a real simple flow to it. Step number 2 is organizing the job. Before you start doing any takeoff, we're going to break it down into what we call label sets. So this is going to allow you to create custom folders that you can keep your material organized into. McCormick will keep everything combined together for you, but at any point in time you want to separate anything out, you'll be able to view a lot of detailed information later on. So in this example, I've got a base bid. I broke it out into some areas and systems. This is completely up to the user, however you want to organize your jobs. You can come back in later on and add alternate bid packages, change orders. Everything can be kept right here in the same project. This is really preparing you for the main step in McCormick. Step number 3 is called takeoff. This is where you're going to get all of the material accounted for. The labels will become a drop-down selection for you to choose from. So just depending on what you're working on first or next, you just flip it over to that set of labels, and again, that will ensure everything stays organized. We are in the electrical database. Again, we do have a separate database for plumbing and mechanical, but you have your database. This comes preloaded with thousands and thousands of parts in here for you. We give you a menu to drive you to wherever you want to go in our database, and then you've got your audit trail down here. This is going to record everything that you're doing in your takeoff It does default you into assemblies. There's two databases in McCormick. The first button at the bottom there puts me into the items. That has all of the information stored into the material. So labor units are built in, pricing information is built in there. So these items are very important to the takeoff process. I'm going to flip it back over to the assemblies database. This is where most of the time is spent in McCormick. You take off an assembly, you're actually getting a handful of material all in one shot. So again, you're going to use the menu. You'll get familiar with how to drive this menu. Perhaps you want to take off a duplex receptacle. You start here under devices. Second column is just asking what type of device. I'm going to keep it on a standard grade device. And then as soon as you make a selection here in the last column, if I click on receptacles, now it jumps you over here to that spot in the assemblies. You're going to go ahead and choose an assembly that you want. When I hit this byproducts button down here, that's going to show me every part and piece that is built into that assembly. Now, these are very easy to customize. You can add items, delete items, swap items. You have these modification buttons down here to work with. You can rename the items or assemblies if you want to change the description. And our database is super easy to customize. You can add as much material as you want to it. You can build your own assemblies if you want to. So again, very easy in terms of customization. So step one, you've saved plans into the job. They're waiting for us right now. So you'd come up here in this top ribbon, click on that Pro button up there, and that launches Design Estimating Pro, which is McCormick's name for the digital takeoff. If you've got more than one monitor, you can go ahead and slide that over to a second screen if you need to. But now it's all mouse control. I've set my scale. That's always the first part, is up here in the upper left-hand corner, getting an accurate scale set. And then once you've done that, it's ready for you to do your takeoff on. Now, I do have some favorites already set up here. This is one of our speed features. Instead of me going into that menu like we just did before, we can come up here on our favorites list and activate an assembly that we want to start taking off. So that's what I've done. I've grabbed that standard duplex and I am now estimating on screen. So I'm just clicking my mouse anywhere I want to count one of these. Now this is just basic counting. We do have an auto count feature built in here. If we want McCormick to search out symbols, we can certainly do that. But as I'm tracking my count, I'm going through here and counting these. Down here in the bottom left-hand corner, it shows me how many I've got. It says I've got 22 of those duplexes counted so far. When I make a next move, if I go grab another part or I hit the enter key on my keyboard, that will commit that to the estimating side of the program. So now we go back and look, and there they are, right into our audit trail. So we're gonna have a complete bill of material in the next step. So a lot of design built into McCormick's on-screen takeoff. You can design the way you want these assemblies to look on screen. We have all of your trade symbols built into the database, so we can actually make that look just like the plan calls for. If we want to, we can adjust colors, sizes, anything we want to do in here. We can go ahead and make it look exactly like we want it to on screen. So again, that's your basic counting. Linear takeoff, so your pipe, your wire, cable, anything like that. I'm going to go over here off my favorites list and grab a branch assembly. You would simply click your mouse anywhere on the plan. You would want to start a run. You'd click the mouse to turn the run, double click your mouse to end the run, and again, it's an assembly. So that right there is calculating pipe, wire, connectors, straps, all the parts that we would need for installation are being calculated right now. We do have a drop feature up here in the ribbon. If we need to add vertical drops on to these runs to account for our ceiling height, we can certainly do that. Our latest patent is called auto home runs. This is a really neat feature. This is gonna really speed up the process in here. We can set an endpoint here on the plan, like that panel right there, and once we have a designated endpoint established, anywhere that we click our mouse on the plan, McCormick is going to shoot an automatic home run back to that endpoint for us. So instead of me having to draw it like I did, I can just put it into auto home run mode, and McCormick's going to find the most efficient pathway to get it back to that endpoint for us. We can take it one step further. We can also draw a pathway on the plan if we want these runs to follow a designated pathway. So, but again, everything you're doing on screen is being estimated. Every move we make is going right there into the estimating side. So again, this is the main step in McCormick. Now, when you are done with your takeoff, there's a couple of finishing steps. Step number 4 is the extension. We hit that step number 4 extend button. That breaks everything done on this job and breaks it out into an itemized material list here for us. And it's going to give pricing and labor time for this job. Now, we do have different levels of raw cost pricing that can be adjusted and different levels of labor time or labor hours built into the material. So I do have a bunch of report options right now that I can choose from. Right now I'm looking at our price one and bid labor report. That's McCormick's best price on the material and best amount of labor time. So right now it's just telling us we've got $20,000 in raw cost material. We've got 837 labor hours to do all of this. This is where we can sort it out by our label sets if we want to see our totals separated out into more details. This is the information. This bill of material is going to also flow right into the accounting with Foundation. So again, this is a review step. We can always go back and do some more takeoff. If we are happy with the results here, we don't need to make any changes. We would send it to the bid summary. Click this Send to Summary button up there in the ribbon. That will save this report that we've gone with and then close out our extension. Step number 5 is adding all remaining costs to the bid. So we've got a material cost. Now we need to add labor rates to the hours, and then we have a few more costs that we also want you to take a look at. So every cost category that you see up here at the top of the summary will have a folder down here at the bottom that you'll go through. Click on that labor button. It's basically just telling you right here, you've got 837 hours you need to assign. We're going to give you this crew template, which you'll be able to customize for your crew with what you're paying your workers hourly. We can add burden rates onto these workers. So I'm building a crew that I want on this job. I've got them pushed over here underneath the hours, and then I'm just going to divvy up a percent total between each crew member. So everybody's going to get a fair share of these hours. I've got individual labor dollars for each crew member. Go back to the home page there, and there's our labor dollars, 34,000 it says for this bid. Another button for supplier quotes if you need to add any additional costs for fixtures, switch gear, things like that is pretty common. We have another button for subcontracting. If we need to sub out any of these costs, we can go ahead and add that in right here. We have another folder for direct job expenses. If we need to add any of that to the bid, we can put all that stuff in right here. We also have another folder for your equipment. Add our equipment cost here. We do have a bond tab. If we need to go ahead and bond this job, we can calculate a bond by percent or amount. And then we also have the tax folder down there. This is where you're going to be able to add tax on top of any of those costs that are taxable. So that's the first part of bid summary, going through all your raw cost. And then the last thing would be to add overhead and profit to your cost. A lot of this information you can already have pre-saved in here in your template, but once you've got your markups plugged in there, it'll break everything down for you. It'll raw cost with tax will be displayed, overhead and profit totals, total return dollars will show right here with everything added up together, and then of course your final sell price will be generated right here. Again, we have a bunch of stuff in here, reports and proposals and change orders and a bunch of different things that we can do, but that is again the whole flow of the program. Again, it's just an easy 5-step process. We do have the Foundation button up there in the ribbon. Again, we can go ahead and send our bid information right into Foundation, and that will segue nicely over to Tom. That's going to show you Foundation. But thank you again for your consideration and letting me show you what McCormick's all about.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pass the controls over here to Tom. It should.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tom Greco. I'm one of the regional sales managers here over at Foundation Software. Joining you today to show you a little bit about what Foundation Software can do. I know one of the main focuses was going to be prevailing wages, and that's going to kind of blend over into some of the things that Jim's going to talk to with Payroll for Construction. But I do kind of like to kind of bridge the gap between, what, JR had talked about with, bringing over budgets and estimating, talk about some of the accounting stuff that Foundation can do, and then I'll pass the baton back to Jim. Now, with Foundation, it's designed to replace your current accounting solution. So if you're using something off the shelf like QuickBooks or one of the other accounting systems, and you want to get something a little bit more efficient, right? So some of the stuff that Jay Howard talked about, being able to do a takeoff, being able to do an estimate, being able to bring your materials into Foundation, so that you could do purchase orders and bill and run certified payrolls is all things that Foundation can do. I'm going to minimize the dashboard here just to kind of give you guys a good idea of the main menu of Foundation. So it is going to be something that's a complete job cost accounting solution. One of the big things that we preach here is one point of entry. So whether we're talking about recording time from the field through a mobile application, being able to do RFIs, submittals, and Project HQ, and change orders and subcontracts, and push those into Foundation. Definitely, we want to be kind of the middleman that kind of sits in the middle, and gives you an ability to integrate the accounting and the job costing side. So with the system, we have all these base modules up top here, kind of designed to replace like your current core system. So you have your accounts payable module, AR, general ledger, full job costing, payroll, and then we also have payroll for construction, which Jim is going to talk to, which is a further extension of the payroll module here. Purchase orders and subcontracts, and then we also have a ton of additional modules here. So anybody on the call looking to track equipment, depreciation, one of the things that JR had touched on is the bill of materials. So a lot of people group that within the inventory category, where we can be able to push those bill of materials directly in the Foundation and have that integrated with our inventory module. Any service contractors, what's nice about Foundation is we separate jobs from service. As it relates to prevailing wages, we're one of the few systems out there that if you do happen to have service work at a scale job or a scale location, it doesn't disable the prevailing wage calculations like other systems. So you're able to kind of bridge that gap between contracts and jobs and service-related service calls and work orders. T&M, nice module that has an ability to gather payroll, mark it up for you, materials, equipment, and then create an itemized cost plus billing. So that's something that you can do right out of our system. Same thing with unit price AIAs. And then we also have, other modules here that also integrate with throughout the system. Now, big thing for us is, like we talked about, the integration between accounting and job costing. So typically what we see a lot is I'm doing my accounting in system A, and then I have to take that information and put it into a spreadsheet. Or I'm doing my work in progress in Excel, and that's going to be another spreadsheet. Or I'm doing my certified payroll in Excel, or my AIAs in Excel. It's all these third-party programs that nothing talks to each other. So it's very manual process, very time-consuming, and then also leave some room for error. So we want to circumvent all that and have Foundation do all that for you. And one of the big things is going to be the job cost side. So being able to use those metrics from, McCormick or if you're using any other estimating system, how are we tying up to that budget? And it's something that we provide you right out of the box. So this executive dashboard is an excellent tool to illustrate how we job cost, and then also what it looks like from the integration part from accounting to job costing. So I should be able to come in here once a day, twice a day, once a week, twice a week, and everything should be real time. There's going to be no need for anybody to do any type of double entry when it comes to job cost reports. So I should be able to just drill into this graph here and see a range of jobs. And that could be by project manager, could be open jobs, but I should be able to see this, and everything in the system should be accurate and up to date. Accurate and up to date, big things that we talk about is going to be contract amounts. So we want to be able to have a process and a system that if we need to enter in change orders, we can do that through our project management suite, Project HQ, and that information will flow automatically in the Foundation. So there'll be no duplicate entry or no need to track change orders in 10 different locations. Same thing with your estimated costs. So being able to have an accurate, up-to-date budget by job is something that's going to drive a lot of the reports in here, whether we're talking a report like this or whether we're talking like a true work in progress over under billing, which we'll get to. And they're always going to want to be able to see what's really going on as far as billings, cost, actual profits. Always something that we need to keep an eye on. And then also percentage of completion. How far along are we compared to that budget from McCormick? Are we over budget? Are we under budget? How close are we? And then now we're going to be able to find the details of every job. So if I just click on this job here, I'm able to drill into every section of that job. So whether I'm wanting to see every invoice that's gone out the door, every dollar of cost, every change order, every subcontract or purchase order, what's still left open, it's all right here. So it circumvents you having to have multiple reports piling up. All I need to do is just point and click. So when we talk about budgets, where you want to be able to drill into that job and get more detail, right? So be able to see estimate versus actual by cost code. Be able to see, what is still left out there as far as each cost code on that job or each line item. And we can also drill into that cost code and get, that category breakdown right underneath it. So if we're looking to track that level of detail, we can see always, high level how the job is doing, but then we're also able to drill into those budgets and see exactly where we stack up within each line item on that budget. Costs are going over, closely going over, we can also have the system alert us so that, we're more proactive than reactive. From here, I can just keep drilling into it. So one of the nice things about Foundation is it's very detailed and allows the user to drill in as far as they want to go. So if I have a question on how did I use 377 hours for this task, I can just drill into it, and there's all the time cards from Payroll. And that's going to hold true with other types of costs. So whether we're talking payroll or materials, we're able to drill into those accounting functions. So this is kind of where it's very easy to see the accounting side being able to talk to the job costing side. So all of these dollars came from AP invoices. I can see who the supplier is. I can see how much it is. I can even take it a step further and drill all the way into a copy of that invoice. So there is going to be some ability to do some document imaging in here. So we're able to upload not only just AP invoices, but if you're looking to upload signed change orders, signed contracts, all going to be housed within here. In addition to job costing, a lot of times, if you are performing, a prevailing wage job or other types of jobs, they may call for a distinct billing called an AIA billing. And just from my experience, I've seen people do these 800 different ways outside of their accounting system, which tends to, once again, leave room for error and tons of double entry. You're able to do these right out of the system. So you don't have to do these in Word or Excel. And it's a very user-friendly process where I would say the bulk of the work has to happen when we set this thing up for the first time. So we set up our cover sheet, and then from this billing tab here, this is going to be where our schedule of values lives. And within here, I'm able to bill each line item. You can see change orders flowing into here. I've done some little extra work here where I've totaled out the base contract versus the change orders, but you can have it all be one single schedule values if you want. And it's very easy to bill each line item. So I'm on pay up to, everything ships over the right way. I just need to come down here and either fill in my percent complete or fill in the completed dollar to date. Retainage, you're able to track throughout the system. And I'm able to produce this AIA directly out of Foundation. So it integrates with the accounting from the billing side, and then it also prepares this AIA invoice for me, so then I can submit that for payment. So we see this a ton with prevailing wage contractors or prevailing wage jobs. Always accompanying the certified payroll is typically done through an AIA. And you're also able to do standard invoices, lump sum invoices, and we talked a little bit about T&M as well. Now, a couple big things that JR mentioned was creating jobs or creating estimates and budgets in McCormick, and there's going to be a nice integration with the job level. So if I do happen to get that job awarded, I can easily push that from McCormick to Foundation. And it would be the same thing if I need to do the same with the job material list or the bill of materials. So we've done some nice integration, some nice programming here where a lot of that stuff will flow directly into here. Doesn't require any double entry to get that information in. So it kind of bridges the gap and gets you some nice integration from a job side, a budget side, as well as a material list. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jim. With the payroll side, it does. So if we do have people that don't want to outsource payroll and you need to do certifieds, you can. But Jim is going to talk a lot about the upside of outsourcing your payroll through Payroll for Construction. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
All right. Thanks, Tom and JR. Great stuff. Great stuff. I'm going to go ahead and then change back to me here and share my screen. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do, like Tom said, is just briefly explain Payroll for Construction. So we've thrown a lot of different products at you today. The very last thing I'll do right before I open it up for questions is really just let you know that there are multiple options here, So to start, Payroll for Construction, as Tom said, you could use foundation software, do all your payroll right in-house, still produce all the same reports here that I'm going to kind of go over briefly. But what makes Payroll for Construction different than your traditional payroll service providers is the fact that it's powered by parts of Foundation. So you're going to kind of see a familiar face here in a second when I share my screen to see what somebody may look at if they just wanted to use a QuickBooks but outsource their payroll to us to help with the prevailing wage stuff. We do process payroll in all 50 states. And again, we specialize in union, government, prevailing wage payroll. It's not to say that we don't have any clients that don't have that stuff or have minimal amounts of that stuff. But what we see is that is where payroll gets, can be the messiest, where, there's not just paying employees and paying your taxes, but there's all sorts of compliance reports like certified and union and EEO minority compliance reports that go with it that can just be very time consuming. So with us, when we say it's powered by parts of Foundation software, as you can see here, very similar to what Tom showed, minus the billing aspects, the executive dashboard, project management aspects. You're really, in this situation, just logging in online through any computer with internet to get us your time. I mean, if you're using McCormick as well, same goes for pushing job information and stuff like that. But really on the Payroll for Construction side, again, you're more or less using us as a third-party payroll service. So, getting your time to us, both Foundation and Payroll for Construction have their own mobile applications, or we integrate with many different mobile applications out there if you are already using one and you're happy with it. Or, some people just aren't using one, so they could just enter the time right in here. So being able to see that when that time comes over from, again, an entry from in-house or from an actual mobile application, what you'll be able to see here is we do a very good job with prevailing wage. And I'm going to show you how and why here in a second. So when we look here, every employee will have a private rate of pay. But on a job level, you can actually control the prevailing wage rates and or fringes, or if you're a union contractor and you have guys and gals that go from union local 1 over to local 2 when they work in a different part of the state, same concept where you would see the different union locals and different rates that they worked across if that applies to you. So being able to see this information and not have to, when you're either entering time or when the time dumps over, not having to manually adjust these rates. Everything kind of we talk about here today goes back to, no double entry, the less time you have to touch the data, the less chance there is for error. So the more times you're touching, whether it's your estimate, your accounting, your billing separately, your payroll, it's just one, more time consuming, and two, there's just a lot more chance for error. So with us, you can run reports by employee or by job to basically proof your time before you were to submit it off to us. So as you can see, this is the same list, just giving me job hours here so that I can run that stuff. Another big fear with outsourcing payroll is losing job costing. And again, being powered by parts of Foundation software, that just doesn't happen because, we are going to cost everything out to the penny. So these rate tables, a lot of our clients just send them on over to us, or they send us their unions when the rates and stuff change. And then those can, again, be tied to the job so that payroll flows, very smoothly, and there's less of that manual manipulation needed on your end. Once payroll's in, again, we can integrate with QuickBooks, other accounting systems. Of course, with Foundation, it's built right in. So, no matter what you use for accounting, you can use this on its own. And then you would just submit the payroll to us. We would take over paying the employees and taxes and W-2s and quarterlies, and then all those compliance reports like certified payroll, EEO minority compliance, workers' compensation reports. We have all those in here. And furthermore, each state, sometimes different cities or agencies within states seem to have their own template or own form that you may need to use. So we really, hang our hat on the fact that we can provide not just one generic template, but whether you're in California needing to upload to the California DIR or EMARS or LCP tracker, system can just create a file that gets uploaded right to one of those agencies. But if you still needed paper copies, you can come in here and print these as well. And for time purposes, because I want to open it up for questions here in a second, I won't click on all these, but just really going through to show you, no matter where you're at in the United States, we have this stuff down, and we have all these reports in here so that once your payroll's either into foundation or into payroll for construction, you're going to be able to just come in and print out said compliance reports when needed and just sign, send to the, just sign it and send it over to the contractor or the agency. Last two things is, if I come down here to my burden job summary, this is again just kind of, Tom covered some costing reports, but really making sure that when we're capturing the job and the employee, we're not just capturing hours times that $15 rate of pay, we're capturing FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp, general liability, any union fringes or any outside fringes that you pay on the employee's behalf to, one, get a true to the penny hourly cost per employee, but also to get that total job cost number. So when we're going up against that estimate, getting the actual to get the variance, everything here is included. And then one last report, union. If you need union reporting as well, we do a very good job of tracking all of the different union deductions and fringes and, giving you a report with hours for the month, with gross wages, and then providing you with like a summary page to make a payment to the union. All right, last thing I will do here real quick is, okay, so just to recap, again, McCormick is going to be that estimating, that takeoff estimating software. The good thing about all of our products here is, well, of course, we would love, to streamline everything. Owning all three of our products is great, but we also want to let it be known that we work with whoever. So McCormick can work with QuickBooks, other accounting systems. So, if you're not ready to change one of these products, or you don't even want to outsource payroll, don't let that kind of stuff stop you from taking a look at McCormick one-on-one or Foundation one-on-one. So all of these products can be ran right online. You can access them from any computer with internet. And again, there's different options and modules that you can add with all of our products here. So with that, what I will do here is kind of open it up for questions and answers, and then we'll answer whatever questions come up, and then we'll let everybody get going here. So I'll give everybody a second to type in some questions. Somebody's asking about support, product support, and setup of products. So yeah, no matter what products of ours you went with, you will always work for a direct employee of our company to help set it up, help train you. There's testing to this stuff. It doesn't just, none of these products just take off, no pun intended, overnight. So these are things that we're going to work with you, train you, and then ongoing support you. There is, with estimating to payroll to accounting, there are so many moving parts. You're relying on field employees and contractors to pass you accurate information back in the office, and it just doesn't happen in a timely or accurate fashion. So being there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so even our West Coast clients, that's 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday, you always talk to a live receptionist, live support rep, and we can connect to then go ahead and help you out, whether it's learning or helping you resolve an issue. Okay, looks like somebody's asking also about This one would be more for Tom on the time and material side. Does it automate billing? How they're asking basically like, can you do company markups through the T&M billing, module, Tom?
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, you can there's actually 3 tiers of setup within there. One would be the company markup, which I kind of group as anybody that doesn't have any negotiated markups or labor rates. So that could be for anybody that doesn't have anything kind of sound or different. And then you have the second level, which would be the customer markup. And that would obviously override the company markup, where you can have distinct markups for each customer. You can also take it a third step further, which is the job markup. So you can have corresponding time and material markup specifically for a job, which would then override the customer as well as the company. So yeah, it's going to be something that could be very basic as a company markup, all the way down to very distinct, which is a distinct job markup.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, it looks like that might be it for questions here. If one pops up here before we let you go, I'll make sure I get it answered. But nevertheless, JR mentioned this in the very beginning of this, is hey, do not hesitate to reach out for more of a one-on-one live demo tailored towards you guys. I mean, we barely scraped the surface with any of these products in these webinars today, just high-level overview to see if it's something that might fit for you and your business. So if anybody wants to talk to us, give us a call. We do a very good job with the sales process, meaning just because you look at it, we know even if it's a perfect fit, it's all about timing as well. So, if you look at it and you need a few months, you just let us know. We do a very good job of taking care of you through the sales process while not overwhelming you with phone calls and emails on a weekly basis. So here's all of our contact information there. I want to again thank you, JR, thank you, Tom, and thank you to everybody who attended today. And we'll hope to hear from some of you all soon.
Thank you, everyone.